The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. Jesus came with his disciples into the house. Again, the crowd gathered, making it impossible for them even to eat. When his relatives heard of this, they set out to seize him, for they said, "He is out of his mind." The Gospel of the Lord. And I don't know if I don't know. I'm trying to think, am I being honest with myself? In the whole cycle of lectionary readings, I don't know if this is one of my favorite ones. It's like, it's jarring. I start thinking, why, what was going through the mind? You know, like, because we have the scriptures, right? We have the Gospels. But, you know, there was some committee or some people working to chop them up so you have a little piece at every mess. I don't know what they were. I want to know what they were thinking. You know, what did they want? What did they want us to get out of this? I don't know. There's a lot that we can get out of it, I think. To begin with, you know, we can take the. It breaks the rhythm. So sometimes we think that when we hear the gospel proclaimed in assembly, we're anticipating the moral of the story. Okay, so someone tell me what the moral of this story is, right? And it's funny also because there's a little précis before the passage, and it says, like, it takes out like the main. It's supposed to give you something like the main point. I don't know, like a very, very abridged version. It's very abridged. I'll say this is it. It's in red here. It says, "They said he is out of his mind." You know, it's like, yeah, we got that. I mean, there was only a few more words than that in the passage. So, there's a lot that's going on. And I think there are two things that we have to think of. At least two things we have to think of here. One is that Jesus is doing battle with the forces of darkness, and those forces, even the people closest to him are not immune to the encroaching darkness. Yeah, it's something that they have to fight off. They have to fend off, or it will sweep them away as well. So I think there's something there for us. Not only that, okay, we're close to Jesus, so we should expect that the corrupting forces are likewise surrounding us, but also we have the life of Christ Jesus at work in us and working through us. So not only do we fend off the power of evil, but we can also roll back the rule of sin and death. We not only push back, but we'll make our way through. Right? Jesus overcomes the world, so we have nothing to fear. So we keep pushing, and we know, right? We assume that we're going to get opposition along the way, and it might come from people who are supposed to be close to us, very close to us. We have to push on with the love of God. Like just as Jesus is the love of God in the flesh, so now as he gives himself to us to make his love flesh in our lives, we can push on no matter what the obstacles and no matter what the opposition is. Okay, so that's number one. The second is actually, I think, we have a sign of this in St. Mary Ann Cope, whose feast we celebrate today. I know you're celebrating St. Vincent. Yeah, no. The Magnificat. I got to get lined up with I don't have a copy for myself. I never know which saint they're going to go. And today I guess we missed. But Sister Mary Ann Cope was very accomplished in her own right, but within her religious order at the turn of the century, 1800, 1900. And she rose through the ranks. She was going to be a teacher. This is what her order's bread and butter was, teaching and schools, and she was the high up. She was the high up. You know what I mean? Like she was on boards, founding schools. She was intimately involved in the good work of the teaching apostolate and the rest. But then, for the last few decades of her life, she goes to Molokai, where she actually is bedside with St. Damien, taking care of St. Damien of Molokai as he dies. All right, so I think that you could look at her and, that kind of outside view of her. You would say, oh, Marianne, you've lost your mind. You've lost your mind because you had everything, right? You had everything. She had all the positions of prestige and whatever. She had the power. You guys remember how powerful nuns were in their day, They still are. Don't let them, they still exercise great control. But you remember. And she was at the top of that. She was at the top of that pyramid. And she goes to Molokai. Right? And you could look at, like I said, you could look at her and say, you're out of your mind, throwing it all away. But for her, it's not at all the story. For her, it would have been throwing it all away to not go to Molokai. That's the life of discipleship. That's the life of sainthood. If Jesus calls you, you go. Or you risk losing it all. And the reason why is because the only thing that you have, the only thing that matters is the love of God anyway. The only thing that matters is your participation in the life and mission of Jesus Christ anyway. That's all that matters. Everything else has to be, everything else is a relative good compared to our trusting and following Jesus. So she had to go. Was she out of her mind? She wouldn't care. She wouldn't care what anybody else had to say. Maybe we're out of our mind for Jesus. We have to be willing to look that way, even though we know that we're not. Right? We see with clarity when we see the love of God made flesh for us. And it's ours simply to trust and follow him. And there, not that we will be victorious, but there is the victory. To trust and follow Jesus in all things. There is the victory. To bring God's love to life wherever we go. That is the victory. That is the meaning and purpose of our lives. That's our happiness, our joy, our fulfillment, and all the rest. So we have those two today to think on. We have the power inside of us. Because we trust and follow Jesus, we have the power inside of us to persevere no matter what we face. And even if we face opposition from the people who are closest to us, even if the whole world were to think we're out of our minds, if we're trusting and following Jesus, then we're on the right course.